The Taliban's co-founder Mullah Baradar has arrived in Kabul. He is expected to hold talks with other leaders to hammer out a new Afghan government. For more on that, let's cross live to our correspondent ZMARYALAI ABASIN in Kabul. ZMARYALAI, a senior Taliban member, said on Saturday that there is no interim or transitional government in plan, a firm rejection to any transitional form of a government. So how will a new political institution look like from now?
Hello Pan and good morning. The situation politically seems to be very busy, and at the same time when we see Taliban members that have arrived to Kabul, they've been meeting with several political figures and former President Hamid Karzai, Dr. Abdullah at the same time, Gulbuddin Hekmatyar. Pan, the situation politically looks like they got a lot of things to do, and they have to talk with everybody. They are focusing on a relationship with the region, with the United States, and the Doha Agreement that states a lot of things. They are striving to do something, and they are contacting everybody, including Ahmad Shah Massoud's son, and his comrades out there in Panjshir, and they want to settle it down politically and via dialogues. So these are the efforts continues, and the question about interim or the transitional government is something discussable. I was talking with a lot of Taliban through the years, the 3 years that the peace process was started in Afghanistan, and they were saying we are reflexible and we will do things accordingly. But the thing, leadership is priority for the Taliban, because in military and Doha Agreement and almost in every aspect they see is a thing that they have won everything. Now the leadership is something they are working for, and they are welcoming everybody to join a government, but it's uncertain and unclear that what kind of government they will want. But they have been talking and stressing about an inclusive government, and they say they are still working for this. They have no enmity, and they call upon every party and every political movement to join the new government and work together, because they got a lot of economic and social and also political issues to tackle with. So we are still waiting that how could they clear all these things, and what would it look like when they say the new Islamic government. Now it's time, and we will see how they will form it.
As ZMARYALAI, you just mentioned that the Taliban is also in contact with the Massoud family. Now, interestingly, it's reported that anti-Taliban forces have taken 3 districts in the country's north. So can you verify that? And if that's true, what do the Taliban make of this?
Yeah, these reports are confirmed, and we've been talking about this now for 2 days. And the Taliban, there were some casualties at the same time, but the Taliban say we are in war with no one, because the occupation is over. The foreign troops have already left, and then remain only in Kabul airport, which will be evacuated as soon as possible, and they are doing things differently now, and it's an Afghan agenda according to the Taliban official, and they will get engaged in dialogue and negotiation with different parties. My sources told me even Taliban representatives have reached out to Ahmad Massoud and his comrades to talk with him and make it peaceful and a settlement on the way, because the Taliban said that they don't believe that any party which still remain in a conflict zone and they want to fight. So that's not a good idea for the country, and they are demanding to work together. But still there are things to be done. The attacks happened in Baghlan province. Almost 3 districts was reportedly collapsed, and there are other provinces in the north that most of the commanders were rejoining the resistant 2, which was once its first version was led by Ahmad Shah Massoud, whose father of Junior Masood, who is now leading the second one. So these are the things under settlement, negotiation, and the Taliban prominent leader Haqqani, who is here. He is a brother of Jalaluddin Haqqani, an uncle of Sirajuddin Haqqani. He announced that Ahmad Masood is ready to negotiate, and he is here. Even he called Ahmad Shah Masood hero of Afghanistan. So that is unprecedented, and hopes emerge as the Taliban behave towards the internal political and militia figures.
ZMARYALAI, I'd like to follow up on the real situation in the Kabul airport right now. For weeks, we've been hearing bits and pieces on the so-called chaos at that very airport. But what is it really like right now? Is it mainly now for Western evacuation? Because we know that the US has a deadline of evacuating all its troops by August 31st.
If there was any massacre, any chaos, it's clear in last 1 week it was Kabul airport. Casualties happened, at least 14 have reportedly killed and or died, and at the same time troubles, the panic, the disgust and everything occurred just around Kabul airport. And yeah, there are fears and panic among the people in Kabul, but we got no fatalities and casualties, and it's only the Kabul airport. So the question remains, if it was going to happen this way, why would Afghan haven't flee through the illegal ways, human trafficking that they have been doing all along, and hundreds of thousands of Afghanistan have flee the country through those illegal channels and human trafficking. This is again the same scenario. For Afghans, it's like do and step up to flee or die. And that's what's happening now, and everybody risks their life. There are rare cases, for example, French embassy, they have facilitated transportation, and they've allocated all those who were eligible, and they transferred them to Kabul airport safely. But from the US side, even they're alarming their own citizens now to stay where they are, because there is a potential attack from the ISIL or the Daesh. So it was undisciplined, misplanned, and worse ever, because they had at least 3 months. When the cities, the capital cities start collapsing, they had much time to tackle it down. They had much facilities. The road from US Embassy to Kabul airport is not very far. It's just a few hundred meters only, a few hundred meters, and straight you enter to the Kabul airport. So it's because there was no plan, and everything was just trashed by the United States and their plannings and US Embassy. They had no accurate plan. That's why we have been seeing all these chaos now in Kabul airport. I don't know till what time it will continue, but everybody just rushed there. And some people, they are just bringing documents like their own ID cards and other, that they think that there is something they will pull out. And another side of the scenario is, where will they be leading? Some of them lead it to Doha, Qatar. It's very hard, no facilities, no nothing. And still a humanitarian crisis for hundreds of people who have fled there is also difficult. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Our correspondent is ZMARYALAI, ABASIN in Kabul. Staying with the coverage, over the past week, some Afghan people have rushed to foreign embassies for visas and rushed to the Kabul airport, as ZMARYALAI just said. A Taliban official has told CGTN that Afghans should stay in the country, promising security and amnesty.
Our leadership and elders have earlier announced amnesty through national and international media outlets. So my message to them is stay inside the country. We have no personal problem with anyone. Amnesty has been given to all government officials, so they should honestly serve the country. Afghans will have no honor and respect in other countries. They have in their own country. We are asking them not to leave the country. They will be secure. Each citizen is important for us, and their safety is also a priority for us. We stand here in the service of the public. For the past 20 years, we fought for our nation's safety, and we are looking forward to have a united and independent country in the region and the world.
Also, our correspondent PARWIZ KAROKHAIL in Kabul also interviewed Afghans on whether they wanted to leave the country. He spoke to a woman in front of the French embassy in Kabul and she voiced her concerns. Others called for peace and stability.
Do you believe the Taliban's promise and commitment to uphold the rights of women under the Islamic law?
I don't think so, because they had earlier made the same promises in Doha, but they didn't deliver on them. We don't trust them at all.
We call on the Taliban to establish a government to bring peace, stability, and security to Afghanistan and create jobs for us.
A senior U.S. official says the Islamic State poses a potential threat in Afghanistan, forcing it to change its evacuation plans at Kabul airport. Let's take a look at the history of ISIL in Afghanistan.
Islamic State was first formed by Jordanian jihadists in 1999, but it didn't become a force to be reckoned with until 2014, when the group shocked the world with a stunning campaign of conquests over major cities in Iraq and later Syria. With significant territory under its control, Islamic State managed to generate billions of US dollars in revenue from oil fields and refineries, lucrative smuggling routes, extortion, robbery, and kidnapping. The group formed the Islamic State-Khorasan Province, or ISKP, in Afghanistan in 2015, when it first started to extend its geographical reach beyond Iraq and Syria. ISKP concentrated most of its activities in eastern Afghanistan, particularly in Nangarhar Province, which borders the region of Pakistan. In late 2019, the group was almost eradicated from its main base by the US and Afghan militaries, and separately the Taliban. But a think tank based in the US estimates there are still over 2,000 members of the ISKP active in Afghanistan. In a UN report released this June, attacks claimed by or attributed to the ISKP have increased to 88, compared with 16 for the same period in 2020. The report says the group continues to target civilians in urban areas. US officials have cautioned that ISKP remains a threat.